Hey everyone, it's Jamie. Welcome back. So today's video is a DIY Rose Topiary. Most of the materials I am using is from the Dollar Tree with the exception of just a couple things. So first you're going to need one of the clay pots from the Dollar Tree. They come in a pack of 2 and they are the smaller ones. Next you're going to need a wooden dowel. I'm using the dowels from Walmart, but you can also use the ones from the Dollar Tree. They're just a little bit thinner. Next, you're going to need a foam ball, and I purchased mine from Walmart. It was $2.33, and this is the 4.7-inch foam ball. You're also going to need one of these packs of the floral foam that I purchased from the Dollar Tree. They come in 4 in a pack, and they're just the little small squares. So you will need 2 of these small squares. You're also going to need 10 bunches of roses. I purchased mine from the Dollar Tree. And if you want to paint your clay pot, the Dollar Tree does carry different colors of paint. I'm going to be using the Waverly chalk paint in the color white that I purchased from Walmart. You'll also need some wire cutters so that you can cut your roses off of the stems. The first thing you want to do is to paint your flower pot. I gave mine 3 coats of paint on the outside, and then on the inside I just painted about halfway down and I gave that 2 coats. So now we're going to take one piece of this foam, and I'm just going to cut it down to where it fits into the little flower pot. Next, after I get the foam cut down to the size that I need, I'm just going to be adding some hot glue to the bottom of the flower pot. Just be careful because the flower pot does have a hole in the middle of it, and you don't want to get hot glue down in there. So then I'm just going to add my little piece of foam, and I'm going to push pretty hard just so that it can get in contact with that hot glue. Next, I'm going to take one of the wooden dowels, and you can either paint this or you can leave it or you can stain it. I stained mine, and how I stained it was I just took some brown paint and added a little bit of water, and then I brushed that onto the wooden dowel and let it dry. And this is what it looks like after it's all dried. Next, I'm going to put the wooden dowel down the center of the flower pot. So I'm just going to go ahead and find the center of the pot and then just push the wooden dowel down into it, down into the foam. Next, I'm going to take some hot glue and just put some hot glue on the bottom of the wooden dowel and then push it back in through the hole. Okay, now I'm going to just set the little flower pot aside, and I'm going to move on to the foam ball. I'm going to go through and cut my roses off of my little rose bushes. And I'm cutting these to where I have a little bit of the wire stem hanging out of the bottom so that it can push down into the foam ball. Now I'm going to take some hot glue and add some hot glue on the base of the rose, and then I'm going to be sticking it into the foam ball. And you want to make sure that your hot glue gun is a low temp glue gun, because if it's a high temp glue gun, the hot glue will melt the styrofoam. Okay, so now I'm trying to decide whether or not I want to leave the leaves on my roses. I think it looks pretty either way. So you can, decide on what you want to do, if you want to leave the leaves on or leave them off. I'm just going to stick the one with the leaves on it just to see if I like it or not. I did end up taking off the leaves and just putting the plain roses on there. So you're going to cover your ball with the roses, but here is where I got a little bit ahead of myself. I forgot to tell you guys to put a hole in the foam ball, and I got almost done putting my roses on here and realized I needed to put a hole in there. So to do that, I'm just going to take the wooden dowel, and I'm just going to try and center my little foam ball over that wooden dowel. And then I'm going to push the wooden dowel through the foam ball. Now this foam ball is pretty dense, so it did take a little bit of strength to push the wooden dowel through it. Just be careful and don't push too hard, because you don't want to go all the way through. I'm just pushing the dowel in to about 2 to 3 inches. And since I have the hole, now I'm going to go ahead and finish filling in my roses. After I get all the roses hot glued onto my ball, I am going to go back in with some hot glue, and I'm going to add some hot glue to the top of the wooden dowel. And then I'm going to add hot glue down the hole that we put. I'm just going to fill that up with some hot glue. And then I'm just going to slide the ball down over the wooden dowel. So here's what it looks like so far. Now I'm going to be using another piece of the floral foam, because I'm going to be adding some of this reindeer moss that I picked up from the Dollar Tree. And I need something like a base to put my my floral moss on. And then I'm also going to be adding some of this greenery right here that I purchased from the Dollar Tree also. So I took the little foam little block and I just cut it into 4 cubes. Now I'm going to just eyeball it and cut them down to where they'll fit into the flower pot. Once I get all my foam pieces in place to where I want them, I'll go back in and hot glue them down. Next, I'm going to take this reindeer moss, and I'm just going to be hot gluing that on the top of this foam that we just put down. Now I'm just going to give my moss a little bit of a haircut because it's looking a little shaggy. You don't have to do this if you don't want to. It's totally up to you. At this point, you can leave it like this and you can be done, or you can go ahead and add your greenery, which is what I'm going to do. So I'm just going through and I'm cutting off the greenery off of the stem, and I'm leaving about 2 inches of the stem so that I have enough to poke down into the foam. Okay guys, that is the end of the video. I hope that you enjoyed it. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't. Make sure that you check the description box for a materials list and stay tuned to the end to see pictures of what it looks like displayed in my home. I wanted to thank you all for watching, and I'll talk to y'all later. Bye!